Inner space at NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab, where astronauts are trained.
To a cage because it's too heavy to lift. Because this spacesuit is specially modified for underwater use and has a lot of lead weight in it. Climbing into the torso is a little tricky. It takes nearly an hour to suit up. The last thing to go on is the helmet. Underwater, a high oxygen blend of air will be fed to the astronauts through their umbilicals. Meanwhile, the safety divers are in the water getting ready. They wear double scuba tanks so they have enough air to stay down as long as necessary to complete the mission. Tim and I are getting ready too. I can't wait to see this enormous underwater facility. I descend into the clearest water I've ever seen, and it looks like an underwater movie set. The pool is a staggering 40 feet deep, and everywhere I look are full-size replica sections of the International Space Station. I take a few minutes to explore the pool. I can see from one end to the other very clearly, meaning that the underwater visibility is over 200 feet. I could spend a few hours just swimming around down here. It's like a playground for divers with all sorts of great structures to swim through. For the astronauts, now the moment of truth. A crane lifts them into the pool, wearing 300 pounds of spacesuit apiece. Underwater, the safety divers meet them and carefully remove them from the platform. Each astronaut is carefully weighted to be precisely neutrally buoyant. Hey, they don't call it the Neutral Buoyancy Lab for nothing. Once weighted properly, the astronauts hover in the water as if floating in the weightlessness of space. Since fins don't work in space, the astronauts don't get to wear them here. They must be moved from task to task by the divers. The divers are also responsible for keeping a careful eye on everything happening. Each astronaut has 4 divers assigned to him or her. 2 are safety divers. Another has a camera with a cable going to the control room. And there are more cameras mounted all over the inside of the pool, too. In the test director room overlooking the pool, 21 monitors keep the staff informed of everything that happens below. They oversee the safety of the operation. If anything were to go wrong, the divers can get the astronaut to the surface in only seconds. In the test conductor room, another team is conducting the training run. The test conductor and team speak directly to the astronauts through the communications gear in their helmets. But powerful underwater speakers allow the divers to hear everything that's being said, even if they can't talk back.
Go ahead and swim EV1 over to Z1 to check out EV2's APFR ingressing.
The point of all this effort is to provide a learning environment for astronauts where they can practice tasks over and over in simulated zero gravity before they're required to do it by themselves in space. Tasks that are easy on land become much harder in zero gravity. And harder still while wearing a spacesuit that has to be able to protect an astronaut from the vacuum of space. A spacesuit is designed to have more pressure on the inside than on the outside, since it's effectively inflated like a balloon in space. Here in the NBL, that pressure is backwards. Water is definitely not a vacuum. In order to keep the water pressure from squishing the astronauts as they go deeper, the suits are inflated to a pressure just a few psi higher than the surrounding water. When an astronaut goes deeper into the pool, the water pressure pushes in on the suit and tries to compress it, so the suit is given more internal pressure to keep it inflated correctly. As the astronaut ascends towards the surface, the air inside the suit expands and tries to overinflate the suit, so some of the air is released. In this way, the suit always stays inflated just as it would be in space.
Yeah, Terry, we can see it. Thanks for making it ripple.
So I'm going fairway and high on SP2, right? Just going on the head. Yeah, but above the trailer tennis or below?
My question is, does being in space with no gravity feel like floating in water? They always treat you like a child, and they've stolen all your instincts to be wild. Maybe you swallowed all their lies, 'cause you opened up your ears and
That's a very keen observation. It actually does in a lot of ways. In fact, we use water to train for spacewalks.
Little mermaid, swim right up and look 'em in the eye. Swim, little mermaid.
And you will just kind of float in the water without moving. And that's very similar to what it is. So we use that, a big pool, to train for spacewalks.
It's not easy
So we can feel what it's like to move around without gravity.
the ones we all entrusted don't deceive. Maybe it's time to challenge life.
Yeah, it's sort of like swimming. If you look at my arms aren't down by my sides like on Earth. My arms float up. And they're sort of the same as water because there's no gravity pulling them down.
Little mermaid, swim right up and look 'em in the eye. Swim, little mermaid, with your sword of truth that's turned to pieces.
So it's more like floating in water all the time, not swimming in water, because you can't pull against the air. It doesn't, I'll show you, it won't take me anywhere. It doesn't, I just stand here because the air is not as thick as water. So it's more like just floating in water forever. It's a beautiful freedom. It's lovely to be able to just float around. So try it next time you're at a pool.